Hello everyone, this is Roka and welcome to my Dark Souls 1 boss tier list. This will not be a difficulty tier list. I already have a video out on that. I'll leave a card in the top right side of the screen so you can click on it. Just click the eye and the video should pop up if you want to see that difficulty tier list. This is a boss design tier list. I'm taking many factors into consideration, like a little bit of their lore, physical design, the boss arena, bonfire run-up, the overall enjoyment, the difficulty, the brokenness, like how broken is it, and funness, how fun is it. Pretty much just going overall how good is the boss designed. Keep in mind this is completely subjective, based on my own experiences mainly in New Game Plus. Starting off with the Asylum Demon, it is a pretty good tutorial boss. For what it's worth and what its purpose is in the game, it's a great boss. It's a great boss. It's a great tutorial boss. You know, the little puzzle in the beginning where you have to run to the door with your little broken sword and you're like, how am I going to beat this guy? I do like 2 damage. And then you notice, oh crap, there's a door here. And then when you get the plunging attack and you get like 1/4 of its health away, he's just a really all in all well designed boss. He fits his role perfectly and he does what he's supposed to do perfectly. You know, he's really the introduction to Dark Souls. He's gonna go into great tier. The Taurus Demon is a good boss. I could pretty much repeat the same thing as I did for the Asylum Demon. He's still an introduction boss because you're still learning how to play Dark Souls. You know, he's not that hard. The game offers you many unique ways to defeat him with the gold pine resin and then the plunging attacks, and then he could even fall off. He's not that hard. His boss arena is fine. He's a good boss. The Bell Gargoyles are an average boss. From what I know of, they are a recycled boss from Demon Souls. And for that, I'm going to have to take off major points for that because I show no empathy, no sympathy for recycled or reused bosses. Other than that, the Bell Gargoyles are a pretty good boss. You know, you're still learning Dark Souls, and this offers a unique new challenge that, whoa, I have to fight 2 people at once. I have to fight 2 bosses at once. How am I going to do this? So you're really still learning how to play the game, and what they offer and what they give for Dark Souls makes it pretty well. If this was a unique and new idea, if it wasn't reused, then I would put it in good or great, but because of that, I don't have to put it in average. The Moonlight Butterfly is a garbage boss. It really is. It's a hold, block, and roll simulator if you're melee. Now, if you picked magic or pyro, then this boss is a little more bearable. This boss is just not good. It's not creative. It's not fun. It's an anti-fun, a boring boss. And the lore, I guess, is interesting. You know, it comes down to feed. That's the lore explanation as to why you're allowed to hit it. But it's just boring. It's not fun. It's bad boss design. I don't know what else to say. The Capra Demon is not a good boss. It's not. It's really not. I could probably tell you what the devs were thinking when they're creating the Capra Demon. They're like, oh, let's make a difficult boss. Yes, this should be like the really first difficult boss. You know, let's add some NPCs in there, or some other enemies in there. Let's add some dogs in there to make it more difficult. Then let's make the boss arena super small so they could barely move. They went for artificial difficulty. They didn't go for a naturally difficult boss with, you know, that's naturally difficult like the Nameless King or something. This is a artificial difficult boss with its just bullcrap pretty much. The dogs are not needed, but the boss arena it's bearable, but the dogs really are not needed in this boss. The boss run-up is just really bad, starting off in the Undead Burg, then running all the way down, going through those assassins and all those dogs. It's just not fun. I don't know why they couldn't just put a bonfire right next to the boss. That's a reoccurring issue Dark Souls 1 has, is not putting a bonfire right next to the boss. They make you run a mile and run through 100 enemies before going to the boss. The Stray Demon is a garbage boss. It really is. It's a recycled boss, obviously, from the looks of it, except this time it has magic explosions. And then he's just pretty much the same boss. And then you lose half your health falling down to him, because you fall down to the boss and lose half your health every single time. You have to waste one Estus every single time. The Gaping Dragon is lacking in many areas. His design is not really appealing at all. He looks quite disgusting. It's not that interesting either. His attacks, easy, very easy to dodge. He's not that difficult at all. Even a newcomer could easily go without getting hit. Overall enjoyment is not there, so for all these reasons, he's going into lacking tier. Now, Quail Og is a pretty good boss. I'm thinking of putting her in great tier. I'm going to put her for now. I may change it, or I may not. Yeah, you guys all know what I mean by her design. That's really not needed, and it's pretty gross too, you know, the lower half of a spider, but the lore explanation is actually pretty interesting. Her lore is pretty good, and it's pretty interesting, but the boss fight is pretty easy though. The Bonfire run-up is not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either. It's not really a fun boss fire run-up, because you pretty much have a 100% chance of getting poisoned and having to waste a moss clump, and if you don't, then you're pretty much poisoned the entire fight. So overall, I think she's pretty good boss. I don't know if I would put her in great tier. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put her down to good tier. The Iron Golem is a pretty average boss. His lore is pretty interesting, but other than that, he's lackluster in everything. His design is not crazy at all. It's not that interesting, and it looks recycled from Demon Souls, as I've never played it, so I can't really say, but it looks like a recycled boss, you know, its design. Its hitboxes are pretty broken, especially its grab. Its grab has a broken hitbox. You know, it's pretty easy boss. It's super weak to fire. It literally gets melted. You know, the boss arena is fine. You know, it's a pretty interesting boss arena, you know, because it grabs you and it could throw you, so it could throw you off, so that's pretty nice dynamic it has. But overall, it's a pretty average boss, you know, nothing really stands out from it. Dark Sun Gwendolyn has some pretty interesting lore, but other than that, he's lacklusting in everything else. His physical design is not that interesting. His gameplay is very, very boring, on par with Moonlight Butterfly, except for it's more interactive. But it's not really a fun boss fight either. You know, you're just running straight and dodging and getting 3 hits in, sometimes even 1 hit in. He is a pretty poor boss. Crossbreed Priscilla. You're gonna find a common theme amongst many of the bosses, where their lore is pretty interesting, and the same goes for her. Her lore is pretty interesting. She's an easy boss. The Bonfire run-up is totally unnecessary. You don't need to run across halfway, not even halfway, across the entire map just to get to her. That's unnecessary. Her physical design is not that interesting, you know, just really an anime girl. A crossbreed of an anime girl and a dragon, you know, it's not that interesting. But overall, she is, I would say, an average boss when taking everything into consideration. Ornstein and Simone are a great boss. Now, I may get some flack for not putting them in peak tier, but I think there's some stuff that's missing from them that really doesn't push them up into peak tier. You know, the lore is good. Pretty much overall everything about them is good, except for the Bonfire run-up. Their overall enjoyment while fighting them is fine. Their combat design is a little underwhelming. At first it's overwhelming, but for an experienced Dark Souls player like me, it's pretty underwhelming compared to other gank bosses and duo bosses. Once you kill the first one, the second one is a walk in the park, you know, as it should be, since it's, you know, a gank boss, and they synergize off of each other. But I guess that's the way it's supposed to be though, so I don't think they deserve to be in peak tier once the other bosses are in peak tier that I show you. Sif, no question, it's a peak tier boss. It's an amazing boss, but what needs to be said about Sif, you know, he's guarding his owner's graveyard. His boss arena is amazing. His boss design is amazing. A dog holding a sword, like, what's not to love about that? The Bonfire run-up is fine, you know, you don't really encounter many enemies unless you're not in the Covenant, which you should be. It's not too difficult. You know, it's a pretty fair boss. You know, Sif is precedent for a peak boss. What's not to love about Sif? And let's not forget about, if you save him in the Abyss first, then it has that alternative intro, and that even adds on to more reasons as to why Sif is such an amazing boss. Four Kings is a good boss. Its lore is really good. Its lore is really, really good. I would recommend you guys looking up on it because it's pretty interesting. The Bonfire run-up is not fun at all. It's not fun. There's no reason as to why the Bonfire should not be in New Londo. I guess the only reason why there isn't a Bonfire in New Londo is for lore reasons, because the place was flooded. But other than that, don't sacrifice gameplay for lore. The Four Kings is pretty much a DPS check in Dark Souls 1. If you can't kill them fast enough, then they are going to kick your skull in. Yeah, they're not going to be a fun boss because they could spawn literally more than 4 bosses. Don't let the name fool you. Their physical design is pretty crazy, you know. They just look pretty nutty. They look cool. But for now, it's going to have to go into good tier just because that Bonfire run-up is just so hellish. It's not an enjoyable experience. Ceaseless Discharge is a garbage boss. How the game is played is more interesting than lore or design or anything, and this boss is terribly designed. I don't know if that, you know, cheese, that one-shot, semi one-shot, you know, where he falls off the map, is intended. But if it was intended to be fought like that, how is anyone supposed to figure that out? He's just really a bad boss. His design is not cool. His boss arena is not cool. His boss design, as in combat, is not cool. He's not a fun boss. Demon Fire Sage is going straight into there with the Stray Demon. Yeah. Another reskin. I don't think there even is a difference between the Stray Demon and the Demon Fire Sage, besides it being red. This is just extreme lazy design. Extreme lazy design. You know, having one reused boss in the same game is okay. Okay, fine, whatever. But having 2 redesigned bosses of the same boss, yeah, this is going straight into dog crap tier, just because they recycled the same boss 2 times. The first one is passable, the second one is not. No words to say. Demon Centipede is a lacking boss. I understand what they wanted to do with this boss. It's not really a fun or interesting boss. Sometimes it literally just gets stuck in the lava, you know, super far away, and just repeats the same move over and over. It's pretty much an easy boss once you get its ring, but even then you're pretty much just dodging and waiting for its arm to come down to get the ring. Its boss design is wacky. I have no idea what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this boss. It looks like a 3rd grader or 1st grader designed this boss. The Bonfire run-up is fine. That's probably the best thing about this boss, the Bonfire run-up. Ooh, the Bed of Chaos, yeah. Let my friend Dwayne Johnson explain what this boss is.
The dog shit.
Yeah, this boss is straight
The dog shit. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? They look at all. Everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
Yeah, there's no other way around this. There's no justifying what this boss is. There's no justifying it. This boss is not fun. It's not interesting. I guess you could say it's creative, but at what expense? It's not an enjoyable boss. The Bonfire run-up sucks. On top of it, this just being a completely
big piece of dog shit
boss, the Bonfire run-up is also
the dog shit.
It takes like 1.5 to 2 minutes to just run to this boss. Worst designed boss in Dark Souls history. Nothing will ever top this. I don't know how From Software was like, saw everything about this boss and was like, yeah, this is a good boss. Let's pass it. The only thing saving this boss is the firebomb tricks, and that adds nothing to the boss design or anything. Next boss, Seath, is lacking. I'm inclined to put it in garbage tier simply because of the Bonfire run-up is on par with the Bed of Chaos boss Bonfire run-up. There's no reason why you need to run 5 minutes to a boss and then fall off a ledge because the literal ground you're walking on is broken and you literally just slip off. The Bonfire run-up is probably worse than the Bed of Chaos. Yeah, it is worse than the Bed of Chaos Bonfire run-up. In fact, I actually am putting this in garbage. The only interesting thing about this boss is probably the design and then the lore. It's the only interesting thing about it. And when I mean design, I mean the physical design. Its attacks, curses, curse in Dark Souls 1 is absolute broken. Yeah, getting cursed is not fun. It's not a fun experience. If you don't have that ring, then you're pretty much screwed when fighting this guy, because you're going to get cursed pretty much every single time if you're not playing extremely careful. But there is easy ways to fight this guy. Yeah, and the first time when you go up to him, for first comer, you're pretty much losing your souls, guaranteed. Because there's no way, without looking it up, there's no way you're supposed to know that, yeah, I'm supposed to actually die here and put on a ring that makes you keep your souls. There's no way you're going to know that as a first comer, so you're pretty much guaranteed to lose your souls. Pinwheel, I'm inclined to put this in garbage as well, but I'm going to keep it in lacking because it's not as garbage as the other bosses. The Bonfire run-up is terrible, but it's not as terrible as the others. Those wheel skeletons are not fun. It's the Crystal Sage from Dark Souls 3, but noticeably worse. The only memorable thing about Pinwheel is that you actually kill it in 5 hits. Literally, that's the only reason why people remember this boss. But yeah, this is a really bad boss, and I think you guys know why. Bonfire run-up sucks. Its gameplay sucks. It's just a really bad boss. So Nito is pretty much like the first, spawner boss. I guess that's the way you say it. Except for it doesn't really spawn in stuff. But you guys know what I mean. This boss could really be anti-fun very quick if you don't know how to deal with him. But if you do know how to deal with him, then he's fine. So I'm going to put him in good tier. His design is pretty cool. His design is actually pretty cool. His arena is fine for what he does. And his gimmick. His Bonfire run-up is amongst the worst as well. It's down there with Seath and Bed of Chaos. It's bottom 3 Bonfire run-ups. That Bonfire run-up is terrible, especially New Game Plus. You get one-shotted by the Pinwheels. You get one-shotted by them. Yeah, that's not fun to have to run 5 minutes, get one shot, do it again, get one shot. Yeah. Bad Bonfire design right there. There's no reason why they shouldn't have Pokemon up close. His attacks don't need to be overwhelming because the skeletons are already overwhelming, and he kills the skeletons for you. So yeah, he's a pretty good boss. I would put him in great, but I don't. He's on the verge of great, just like Quail Og. Gwyn is a great boss. I would put him in peak, but his combat design is bad. It really is bad design. He's too fast. Like I explained in my difficulty tier list, he's too fast. His frame data is nuts. So you could be frame perfect on rolls and frame perfect on an Estus, and he will still hit you. If a boss is difficult because it literally can't let you heal, then yeah, that's not good boss design. But everything else, his music, most iconic song in Dark Souls history, amazing song. His design, his physical design is cool. His lore is great. His boss arena is amazing. Killing of the First Flame is amazing. Everything about this boss is amazing except his combat design. I'm gonna have to put him in peak. I'm gonna have to, because it's just so overwhelming. There's just overwhelming evidence for him to be in peak. The Sanctuary Guardian is a good boss. It's just overall, when you think of a good boss, you probably think of Sanctuary Guardian. It's a good introduction boss into the DLC, and gets you ready for the DLC. And like, whoa, okay, this is going to be difficult. It's not overwhelmingly difficult. It's not super easy. The boss design is fine. Sanctuary Guardian is a good designed boss. Artorias is peak. What is there not to say about Artorias? Artorias and Sif. Sif and Artorias. Artorias' design is amazing. He looks cool. He looks badass. He is badass. His lore is badass. Everything about him is awesome. His boss arena, his vibe, everything about him is awesome. I can't say a bad thing about him. I literally can't think of a bad thing to say about Artorias. Peak fiction. He just goes straight into peak with no complaints. Now, Calamite. If you guys seen my playthrough, then you guys would know that New Game Plus, Calamite in general is just not fun. So I'm going to put him in gray tier. He would go in peak tier, but he literally is a broken boss. His hitboxes are broken. His swipe attack is broken. It kills you. It's a one shot. Once he hits you with the first one and then he swipes again, you're dead. It's a broken boss. You get caught in it, you can't roll out of it. It's a very tricky thing to roll out of. He has plenty of one-shots with his fire, his tail. He has plenty of attacks. He probably has the most attacks out of every boss in Dark Souls 1. His lore is interesting. You know, when you shoot him down, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. His design is pretty cool. His arena is good. His run-up is terrible. I don't know why Dark Souls 1 makes you run a marathon before going to a boss, but it's not fun. It adds on to the annoyance. Yeah, he is a great boss. Manus is a great boss as well. I would put him in peak tier, but he just doesn't have that extra oomph like Gwyn, like Artorias, and like Sif. He just doesn't make it into peak tier. His design is pretty cool. His lore is pretty cool. Especially, I think he has some lore connected to like Dark Souls 2 and 3. He's a very good ending to Dark Souls. He's a very good final boss. Except his Bonfire run-up is terrible as well. No reason why you need to run a mile to get to a boss. In New Game Plus, there's one of the magic casters that literally one-shots you, and it's very hard to dodge unless you have some sort of magic to hit her. And if you don't, then you pretty much have to take 5 minutes to just run to him, to go out of your way and kill that person. You know, he's honest. He's an honestly difficult boss, unlike the Capra Demon. His boss arena is fine. Everything about him is good. I don't have much else to say. So this is what the finalized version looks like. I didn't move stuff from other tiers because I didn't think it needed to be, but I moved it around in the same tier to order them. So I think Artorias is the best designed boss in all of Dark Souls 1, and I think the Bed of Chaos is the worst designed boss in all of Dark Souls 1. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see more of this stuff, just, follow, comment down below. If you guys made it to the end, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.